What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, it's 6:04. I think we should start and be respectful of people's time. So thank you all for coming. I'm Tamara Toledo. I'm the director and curator of Sur Gallery. It's the first and only art space dedicated to contemporary Latin American art in Canada, and we're very pleased to be hosting this exhibition by guest curator Claudia Arana. And since the lockdown, we have been programming our exhibitions and events mostly online and have developed a site specific for our virtual endeavors, and it's surgalleryvirtual.ca. And I urge all of you to visit it if you haven't already, to access our current and past online exhibitions, tours, artist talks, curator talks, interviews, and panel discussions. I would also like to acknowledge that the land on which Sur Gallery is placed and where we gather tonight is the traditional territory of the Wendat Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations, and the Métis Nation. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are very grateful to have the opportunity as immigrants to this land to work and present our work here. I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge our funders and partners, for without them, Sur Gallery and other LeCat projects would not be possible. So I would like to thank the Canada Council for the Arts, the Ontario Arts Council, the Toronto Arts Council, and the City of Toronto through Section 37, as well as our partner for this exhibition, Mayworks Festival of Working People and the Arts. And a quick reminder for all of you to mute your cell phones and mics so we don't get any interference during the curator tour. And now I would like to introduce Claudia Arana, our invited guest curator of Latino America Embedding Bodies and Localities. Claudia Arana is also our operations manager at Sur Gallery, and we are very pleased with her work and her dedication towards the exhibition, of course, towards Sur Gallery. She's been amazing. Claudia is an independent curator, arts administrator, and cultural connector. She aims to include socially and politically viable artistic practices through the engagement of physical and digital spaces. She studied art theory and critical thinking at the School of Visual Arts, as well as advanced critique at the International Center of Photography in New York City. Arana is the curator for the Artworks TO Cultural Hub in Etobicoke for the 2021 Toronto's Year of Public Art. So welcome, Claudia. The mic is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tamara, for your words. And honestly, welcome everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Claudia Arana, an independent curator and the current operations manager at Sur Gallery. And I'm very excited to be able to open 2021 with Latin America Embedding Bodies and Localities, with artists Alexandra Helis, Ana Maria Miyan, Santiago Tavera, and Laura Acosta. So now I'm going to briefly introduce the artists. And we have here Alexandra Helis, which is, you can say hi, you can see her over there. So Alexandra Helis is a Colombian Venezuelan media artist with a background in visual arts and is currently a PhD candidate in environmental studies at York University. Her work involves photography, video, electronic and digital processes, and her work addresses the use of the image in relation to displacement, landscape, and politics beyond borders. She also works as an educator, facilitator, leading video and photography workshops for youth in marginalized communities in Canada, Colombia, and Panama. Ana Maria Miyan, who sadly cannot join us today, is a Colombian artist based in Berlin whose practice addresses the politics of animation in relation to digital cultures and subcultures, gender, and propaganda. She has developed techniques based on role-playing and reenactment, using animation as a methodology to create animated films. It speaks from amateur cultures, pop, political culture, and technology to develop dysfunctional narratives. Her work has been shown in numbers of international venues and festivals. And we have here Santiago Tavera and Laura Acosta. Hi, they're saying hi over there. They are two Colombian artists based in Montreal and who collaborate in the project The Novels of Elsewhere, which is Laura's fiber-based practice interacts with Santiago's digital animated exploration to develop immersive experiences through the interactions of new media components, such as mapping projections, virtual augmented reality, and live performances. Laura holds an MFA in Fibers and Material Studies from Concordia University, where she works at the head of costumes in the theater department. And Santiago holds an MFA in Intermedia also from Concordia University, where he is the project manager at the Elastic Spaces Multimedia Lab. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen and I want to walk you through the exhibition. Okay, so now as you can see, this is our virtual platform. So for those who are not familiar with it, it's a platform which Tamara already said, we can see like different exhibitions, we can interact with work, so we can learn more about the artist. So it's fairly easy to navigate. You can scroll down and interact with different elements, or you can just use the menu on your left, which is also like very easy to go through and read all about the exhibitions and our digital programming. So I'm gonna start over here. You're gonna find the virtual tour. And we want to thank the team of Ready to Post, who have once again helped with the building and the development of this virtual tour. So we're also happy to have them on board. So once you get into the virtual tour in the platform, I always suggest that it's best if you use the full screen mode. And now we are at Sur Gallery. We have our wall text, and if we go to the right, we're gonna see part of the installation over here. So it's fairly easy to navigate. We just need to click and scroll around, and then you will find different icons to interact and go through. So the first element that I'm going to show you over here is our curatorial text, in which we have basically the curatorial viewpoint and like my approach on this exhibition, which offers the possibility of rethinking how traditional place-based affiliations and notions of cultural identity end up being reproduced, reaffirmed, or even transformed in the digital realm. The exhibition aims to highlight how technology has had an impact in the construction of Latin American identity and its network localities. And the artists in this exhibition interrogate some of the key place-based concerns of Latinx identity through their own on and offline cultural practices. And so for me, it was very interesting to think about this exhibition, especially because during the pandemic, I mean, we have seen how so many of us, including artists, of course, we have immersed ourselves in this digital realm more than ever, right? So that was something that for sure like trigger and inspire me to start researching and thinking about this exhibition. However, this exploration, like from Latin American artists, looking into digital elements and new media elements is not new. And the artists in this exhibition interrogate, as I said before, some of the key place-based concerns. So for me, it's also very interesting how the different viewpoints about locations that they are representing are allowing people to make important connections to what's physical and what is offline. So this tactical interplay between the virtual and the real space give voice to oppositional discussions through new media technologies and alternative modes of expression and dissemination. So that's what we have over here with our curatorial text. And now I want to walk you through the first work that we have here, which is the work of Maria Miyan. She's actually flying today from Colombia to Berlin. That's why she couldn't make it. But as I say before, while I was reading her bio, she has been very interested in using role-playing dynamics. So usually she invites a lot of people, usually role players, and she creates different dynamics and reenacts like different scenarios and allow people to create characters. And then that serves as a script that afterwards become part of what we're going to see right now, which is this video animation. So I'm going to just put this on play. And I'm going to put this in the background so you can watch this while I'll tell you a little bit more about this. Okay, so this piece, which is called Elevación, as I say before, Ana Maria uses role-playing dynamics to develop an animated narrative. So in this case, what she used a comic book, which is called Marquetalia Raíces de Resistencia. In English will be Marquetalia, The Roots of Resistance. And this is a comic book that was published in 2011 by Colombia's FARC guerrillas. So when they did publish this comic book, which, well, the intention was to let people promote their ideals, of course, and also to show like the history of how the movement was born in Colombia and how the conflict, the armed conflict, has been like the role that has played from the 1960s. So this comic book becomes a script. Then she invites other people, role players, to have to interpret and digital reenact different characters, and that becomes like a completely different story, right? Also, as the role players start to develop their own visions, not only in relationship to the comic, but to the constant struggle of power and land ownership in Colombia, she started to elaborate like very interesting and collaborative connections that start to, in a way, leading to this idea of utopia, right? So how using like a historic document, a new media component, and the exercise between the role players, how these three elements start to construct like a completely different and new story. So it's amazing to see like the whole piece. The whole piece is about 10 minutes. And for example, today you're more than welcome to go into our virtual platform and watch the full length of the piece. And it's very interesting to see how the characters are completely, as you can see, like surreal in a way, and how they are like incorporating elements of the comic, but at the same time, they are just creating a completely different meaning of what's been for Colombians who have, of course, suffered from this armed conflict. And also, I guess it's interesting to see that the discourse becomes not something that is from left or right, right? It becomes something that is a little bit more complex, and this is something that we can see on her work. So this is her piece here, and yeah, like at the gallery we have it on our monitor, and of course you're able to read as well the label description over here. Okay. So now we're gonna go back to the main space. And if you have any questions, if you want to comment something at any point, please, by all means.
Claudia, I think you have to shut down the video now that if you're going to continue with something else, because I could still hear.
Oh, okay.
I think it's off now.
Okay. So you want to make sure it's better now? Okay, good. So now we are back into the main space. And this is the first work that we are going to see from Alexandra. But first, I want to let you know that this installation, which is called Corredor, the Big Picture, is conformed of 3 elements, actually 4. We do have another projection, big, large projection on this side, which is this one. Then we turn around, we see an interactive piece. I'm gonna let you know more about it very soon. Then we have a mapping projection on this side, which is also very interesting. And we have this small monitor over here, which is also included. So first, I'm gonna go back to this piece. And while I'll let you know a little bit more about it, I'm just gonna, no, you know what? I'm gonna use the other work, because while I'll let you know about more of it, you can actually watch this very interesting piece. So, Corredor, the Big Picture, from Alexandra Helis, investigate the use of the paja canalera, or elephant grass, which is a tall grass imported from South Asia to Latin America in the early 50s, and can grow up to 3 centimeters a day, spreading its long roots and several kilometers wide fairly quickly. This thorny, invasive imported plant was used by the US Army to separate the Panama Canal zone from the rest of the Panamanian population, blocking the entrance to controlled areas. So this beautiful plant becomes a biopolitical barrier and serves as one of the many tactics imposed by the former School of the Americas in Panama. So the School of the Americas was a US military academy, also known as the School for the Dictators, who trained most of the notorious human rights abusers such as Chilean dictator General Pinochet, General Stroessner in Paraguay, and many paramilitary forces from El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Colombia. So this US military academy was based in Panama, and they mainly trained a lot of military during the Vietnam War. So one of the reasons why the paja canalera was also brought to Panama was because it was a really good way of recreating the landscape of Vietnam, right? And so that's why one of the reasons why this plant was imported. And it was an excellent exercise, I guess, for military to be in a landscape that it was going to be very similar to the one in Vietnam. And what it ended up being is they realized that, of course, this plant was spreading way too quickly. It became kind of an invisible barrier. So you might think that it's even part of the landscape, but actually is not. And it's actually harming a lot of the agriculture in Panama. There's a lot of rice crops that actually they're being very, very harmed and very badly impacted by it, because then you cannot even plant again anymore. So I think that this element of the paja canalera has so many layers, and for Alexandra it's been a very, very interesting research to go to Panama to have this recordings, this footage of, if you can see on right now on your right, this is how actually you see like the state in which like the structures from what it was used to be the School of the America looks like these are kind of abandoned buildings, and with nobody's using that. And she's combining this with historic footage as well to tell the story and to kind of have that idea of the big picture, which I think it's a very clever and smart title for the installation as well. So what you're looking at right now is the projection, the dual projection that is going to be on these two walls. And then on your left side, you will see a small monitor that's actually has a live camera of the canal, of the canal. So you can actually have that parallel view of what's going on in real time, but then also what has happened in the same places at the same time. And then if we turn, Alexandra, do you want to add something? Because I know this has been research for you many years. You just came back from Panama. You want to add something?
No, it's okay. Well,
You're okay.
I have so many stories and so many things to say.
There.
You hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen some of this in previous forms. Are there new pieces from more recent visits to Panama?
Yes. So it's exactly the one that is coming now, which is the interactive piece that Claudia now is going to introduce, and then I can say something more. So this is my latest work with the paja canalera. So I'm working with the paja now as a fiber with the actual plant. So that is the one that Claudia will introduce, and then if somebody has some question, I can answer them. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
yeah.
Deb.
So yes, as Alexandra was saying, we can see this paper hanging over here where we have this projection. And this paper, she actually, right before the install of our exhibition, she came back from Panama, where she actually cut a part of this paja canalera and made out the paper. So it's a very thin and delicate paper. And I think it's an amazing element and component. And what she's projecting right now is a footage that I'm going to show you right now, which is this one. So it's a beautiful endless loop in which we can see the paja canalera, but it's live, right? It's live, it's moving. We can listen to the wind and we can see how it's behaving. But what's interesting and what makes this installation interactive is we have over here a camera that it's actually recording and interactive with the movement of the viewer. So if you stand up in front of the projection, you will see that the projection immediately start tracing your movement. So if you move to the right, the paja will move to the right. So if you move to the left, the paja will move to the left. And it's a very interesting, I find that it's a very interesting connection using, of course, new media technology to create this analogy between how it's actually us, the one that are controlling what's happening with the paja, right? And how the paja is behaving. So I'm just gonna show you another clip that we recorded where Alexandra is actually interacting with the piece. So it's a beautiful piece. It's very subtle. I'll say at the beginning you don't realize that actually you are interacting with the piece, and then when you actually realize, because we do have some speakers. Let me show you. I'm gonna move back to this point to show you how right when you stand up behind below the speakers, you start realizing, oh, there's some movement. And while I am moving myself, I start hearing like things differently. And then you realize of the paja. So I think that's a really interesting way of showing that, yeah, it's something that it can be easily overlooked, right? But it has become like this massive barrier. And with these digital elements, she's constructing this amazing connections. And then the third piece that we have is the projection over here, which I find it very, very exciting. And it's, as you have seen, is our exhibition, part of our exhibition banner. So this projection, in this animation, Alexandra is using images and footage of the actual paja canalera, and she is taking like that idea of how invasive and how this natural element is spreading so much and so easily that she's actually like extruding pixels and stretching digital the image to show and to kind of create that connection of how this is something that becomes kind of endless, right? And it's a very interesting way of playing with this digital elements and kind of becomes something abstract, something completely different. And I know that you have worked with someone for this intervention and digital intervention, Alexandra. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that process when you were creating specifically this piece?
Well, with Jorge.
With Jorge.
Yeah, so we were playing with the idea of like how to show the plant in their, like from the microscopic, almost the microscopic view, but also how something that is as subtle as that little seed, it can become a living wall. No, so we start playing with different kind of like filters and actions, and then we took a patch where it takes the last pixel and stretch it out through the whole through the whole thing, using the rhythms also of the field sound recordings of the place. So it is a mix of sounds of the place plus the stretching of the last pixel of the image, no? Mainly with the seeds. Yeah. And also, I want to mention something because another thing that is not visible as this little detail is the transparency of the paper. So I really invite you to come to the gallery if you have the opportunity in May. I hope we can open it because it has a beautiful transparency full of layers and layers and layers, even of just the plant. So the seeds, the roots in different parts of the plant mix with my hair. So you will see even a little pinks there parts. And also the sound, it has a generative sound. So that's why you don't hear here so the sound that you have here is the recordings of the field recordings of the paja, but it's not the one that you will hear in the actual place when you go. So when you go and stay underneath the special speaker that I'm using, I'm converting, or I'm using the vibrations of your own body to transmit it there. So it feels like it shakes somehow in your skin, in your body, and it's a generative sound, like pew, pew, pew. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we are hoping that we can be open by appointment and taking all precautions and all measurements to make sure that we are all safe, but we are really hoping to have people at the gallery to experience all of that for sure. So thank you, Alex, for sharing that. And yeah, and definitely you will see her hair on that paper. I can let you know that for sure. Okay. Now we're gonna go and check our third installation, which is over here. And now we are looking at episode 3, Live Despecho, from Laura Costa and Santiago Tavera. And they came from Montreal specifically to install this piece. And as you can see, this is kind of the first element. And in this installation, Santiago and Laura explore the concepts of dislocation, translation, and migration, and how these affect bodies who are constantly crossing borders that can be both physical and virtual ones. In this installation, the body becomes an overstimulated element, and then that is in constant flux, and that it's being observed and monitored by a CCTV system, which documents the body performance while it's being virtually immersed in a surreal and borderless environment. So actually what we're looking at is the monitor that is recording what we have, what's going on the small room that we have on our left. So this is the space that they have beautifully created over here. You can take a look at details on the floor and lighting. And we have, this is the virtual reality headset. And we have access to a performance that we were able to record a few weeks ago. So I'm gonna play the performance while I'll let you know more about this work. Okay, so that you can listen a little bit of the music, but also you can hear me. So in this project, the duality of being physically present and virtually present at different locations simultaneously allows the audience to reveal their own views regarding not only the physical paradigm of the virtual realm, but the effects of exerted by systems that monitor and analyze these behaviors in a data-driven economy that is often regulated but by omnipresent states of power. So we do have Santiago and Laura over here. They are still there. Let me see if I can see where they are. They're still, hola. Hi, Santiago. So you guys gonna let us know your thoughts and your comments and a little bit more about the process of the performance. I'm gonna play it back again while you guys explain a little bit what is this about and more about the process.
Yes. So the main premise of this work is to present multiple bodies and spaces within the same site. So when you guys first walk into the room that we're in, you'll see a VR headset and 2 textile sculptures surrounded by projections. When you put on the VR headset, you're going to find the same 2 sculptures embodied through a performance that has similar elements of the digital animations. And also, when we do have the opportunity to show this work with people in the space, we also do a performance, which is what you guys are seeing here in the video. So the idea is that the same elements are present in different ways, in both virtual and physical ways, to simulate this idea of crossing borders and becoming multiple beings and potentially open multiple sites, which is the experience of being an immigrant, and especially in the context of this exhibition, the experience of building Latinx identity, which for us has a big element of fragmentation, of multiplicity, of fluidity, and always with the potential, with a generative potential to create new spaces, new beings, new identities. Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, so I think within that, we're very interested in blurring those lines of for the spectators. So when they come in, there's this sense that you are observing a performance, but you're also, you become part of that performance or that space as you're being observed or being watched with the surveillance camera. So in that, it's really blurring that space of physicality, of virtuality, and also you as a performer or the one that's observing or the one that's being viewed. In that, the projections, they come from this suburban environment of houses that are floating. So it becomes this galaxy of this suburban house, the dream of the immigrants, right? Of a migrant arriving to a new place, wanting to live in this complex, in this environment of these big houses. So I think within that, we introduce these 2 characters that are always longing to be in the space of the other. That's why the title, like despecho. So there's this constant despecho, which is, there's no translation in English of the word, but it alludes to this sense of nostalgia for home, for a place that you long for, or that rupture of a place that you are thinking of, or that you wish to belong. So in that like despecho, it's this environment, this network that we've created with these elements, the characters that are longing to be with each other, but they can't. So they're in this constant struggle of being in their own space and not being able to cross beyond in this virtual realm where they live. So it's a bit of that. So we have animations that go on top of the projections that are also present in the VR, which is what you're seeing right now. So it's this 360 environment, both in the VR piece and in the physical experience. So it's great that we have so many of the different elements in the virtual tour, But again, it would be great if everyone can go experience it live and be completely immersed in the images and the sound that we have.
Yeah, ultimately, we just we want to borrow from our experience with displacement, not to represent it, but more so to use that feeling to create experiences. So in that sense, as Santiago was saying, we hope that the audience experiences a sense of displacement through this oversaturation and repetition of imagery between physical and digital forms.
Yeah. Wow, that was great. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's. I think that you immediately when you visit the site and when you get into this place and with all the sound, with all the lighting, and with all the animation and all, you do start feeling that sense of dislocation and translation, and you see these bodies like merging, and it's your own body as well being at play, which I find super super exciting. And all of this is being recorded by this camera over here, so whoever is outside the room can actually see your own body being affected with all these elements. So that's also something like super super fun and intriguing, and I think that it's a wonderful way of taking on the idea of migration, which is something that for sure it's something that I'm very interested in, and as is something that I have experienced myself, and that I find that it does feel a little bit like that, like you're in one place but your head is another, but then you're in a virtual environment, and then it's kind of something that we do experience ultimately, yeah, like as something very normal, right? So, well, great. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, when we were sharing the performance, it was very fun to see you guys wearing like these elements that then become like these sculptural objects in space, and they're like just there suspended.
If I can mention something else, we often work with other people from the community. So it's not usually us performing or activating the textile pieces. I mean, we did it for the virtual exhibition and for this case, but I think it's important always for us to work with people from the community also. Different experiences of migration. Everyone's experience is very unique. So with that, you often do workshop sessions on how to engage with the textile piece, also be immersed with the digital elements of the installation, and then that ultimately creates the performance, which is very, I guess, improvised and really to the moment and being, you know, with the stimulus that we have in the space, sound, colors, lights, and so on. So, yeah.
Right, that's true. That's true. And I do think that we all, when we have the chance to experience this in person, it's very inviting, and that's something that definitely we can see in the work. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to the main space, and let me see how we're doing with time. We're doing great with the timing, actually, which is amazing. And well, the virtual tour, you know already what it is. You can take more time to explore each one of the videos and the works. And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now, just so I can see all of you. And yeah, I don't know if we have any questions or concerns or anything else that we would like to add. We have artists also here, more than welcome to take your comments or thoughts. I don't know if this is something that relates to you or that you find interesting or intriguing. Anyone wants to share? I'm still sharing my screen.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go. Okay, so I can read very briefly the chat. We have, does this tour not include seeing the works in the actual gallery? No, actually you can see all the works that are in the actual gallery. So yes, thanks Anna and David. Mirna says that she's looking forward to immerse herself, and congratulations to the artist and to the curator. Shabnam finds it very interesting. Oh, hi, Camila. I haven't seen you before. Great to see you here. So yes, I mean, as I say before, we're very excited. We hope to welcome you very soon into the gallery space. And yeah, I think that it's an exhibition that has a lot of layers and has a lot of work, and we are really hoping to have you experience all of it. Deborah says, engaging and intriguing. What were the biggest technical challenges in creating the installations at the gallery? Wow, that's a good question. And I can see Alexandra saying like, yeah, I think darkening the space, Mirna is saying, that was an interesting thing. That this is the first time that we actually covered the whole window, and we found like a very interesting and clean and neat way to do it. We still have some light coming in, but I think it makes it actually walkable, so it's not completely dark pitch, right? So that was one thing, but I think that the challenge is that if you look at the gallery, if you look at the pieces and everything, like you will hardly find a wired going on, and everything is really well hidden. We have new speakers and new sound in our space, so that's also something very exciting. So yeah, it was very challenging to manage to put everything together and make it look as clean and as neat as it's looking right now. We had the help of a great installer, which is André Bernot, and he helped us a lot. It took 6 days, full 6 days, to actually install the whole pieces and the exhibition. So yeah, I'm very happy and grateful to have the support of, and also of course the artists that came in to help, which also COVID is not making things easier, and it takes time, so try to avoid having too many people and social distancing and protocols. So I think that overall I'm super glad and grateful to have the opportunity to have to work and have the support of the artists also coming into the space and help build this exhibition. Okay, so Kate saying congratulations, and Alini, hey, I haven't seen you before. So thank you all.
Hi.
Hi.
I actually have a question to the artists, if there's enough time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. First, congratulations. The exhibition looks amazing. Congrats to you, Claudia, for the curation, and to the artists, looks really incredible. I can't wait to go and see it in person. I have a question for Alex about the paja canalera. Like, what was the first time that you came across this plant and the history of it, and how did you get connected to it, and when did you start the work?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, that is a great question. So I was invited in 2007 to Panama to do a workshop by the United Nations. So they invited me to do a community workshop around water, so the importance of water. So while being there, I started a long relationship with the city. And something that really grabbed my attention was the invisibility of the Panama Canal for the youth. So they were talking about mostly about violence and all the violence that kept in the country after the invasion or in the US presence, but also it was almost like something was moving in the middle, like it was impossible for them to talk about the canal, to see further on the canal. And then I started reading and talking to people because you are not going to find, you will never find in the official books of history that the Paja Canalera was brought into the canal by the US Army. So this is something that people say, even the researchers, but nobody can really take on the heavy weight of bringing that disaster into the country, because it's been a natural disaster for the country, and now it's moving forward. So from that moment, I've been reading and looking, and actually I almost became Panamanian because my family at that point was living in the Panama Canal zone. So yeah, so it's a long relationship and continuous. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very interesting. I also have another question, and that's for Santiago. It was about the use of materials in your piece, because from the tour itself, I just felt like I wanted to touch everything and just be in that space, which I guess at this time we can't. But just about your experience and your choices of materials for the space, and what are the materials that you used, and colors are vibrant and very inviting. So if you could talk a little bit about that, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of material, like you said, there's a lot in that space. I think for this collaboration with Laura, we've been collaborating since 2015, maybe. We've known each other for years. So I think in this specific collaboration, she was exploring that side of the textile pieces that you see in that piece. And I was doing my own project and research to do with these suburban houses in Ontario. We both grew up in London, Ontario, so I think a bit of that research was on that. And with this specific project, we came together and we started combining some of our own research and exploration of materials at that time. So within that, I think part of my own practice is the exploration of light, also in different spaces. So the use of lights there, the black lights, and from that, I think that led to the use of the fluorescent neon colors, which was what Laura was working with in terms of the textile pieces anyways. And then we have some reflective surfaces and materials that I think it's always something that I personally use in my own practice to create this expansion of the physical elements that are present in the space. So we have some reflective, I think it's vinyl on the plinth, also the vinyl sort of to enter the space. I think for us was important to create a separation of one space where the CCTV monitor is, and the entering into this other world, I guess, but still leaving the translucent sense where you're able to peek in, so you're able to see, but not fully see everything. So I think that's a bit of that exploration with that material, the elements of the light, the reflective, the translucent. I don't know if you want to say something about the textile itself, material.
I think at the time, part of our conversation, because a big part of Santiago's research is, as he said, using reflective surfaces to amplify a space. So part of that conversation was speaking about these bodies also becoming screens in a type of sense. So then the choice of material and even the form of the sculpture, even though it's a bag, it's essentially a bag with a zipper. but even the form of it in its simplicity came from the idea of amplifying elements that were already in the space. Santiago was working with architecture, and at the time I was thinking about the body, not necessarily wearing garments and acting with them, but becoming sort of like, in a way, like sort of like the motor for activating forms, for activating shapes. So even the simple like rectangle shape with the person inside of it ended up emulating a type of architecture that the body was inside of, giving again another layer of the body being inside a structure. So also the use of translucent fabrics for that also goes to this idea of expanding through sort of translucent surfaces. Yeah. So yeah, even between the material search that I was on and the digital search, that virtual digital search that Santiago was on, we were able to create many layers of almost of the same thing, but not quite the same thing. So it's like layer upon layer upon layer. So you watch the screen, that's the first screen. You go through the vinyl curtains, that's the second screen essentially. You go inside, you put on the VR headset, third screen. Yeah. And then when you go outside and you realize when you watch the camera again, you maybe then connect that network that your body was just part of all those layers. So that's how I think for this piece specifically, we connected what I was doing with textiles and what Santiago was doing with digitality. And I think the sort of maybe, if we were a Venn diagram, the slice in the middle, I think for this one would be architecture, because we were putting the body inside of an architecture that is both, you know, imaginary and real, virtual and physical.
And with the material, it's essentially that the layer of who's the view, right? The perception, the viewing. So who's being observed, who's the one watching, how you're perceiving something that you're seeing, but being reflected onto a different part of the gallery. So you're really sort of multiplying and deconstructing and reconstructing a bit of that space and the sense of the experience of the body within that space.
And then lastly, and this was a choice that came through, we always, even though we've shown this piece before, we try to work with the space that we're inside of to have an element of site specificity, which is part of, you know, the adaptation process that you also have as an immigrant. So something that came through with the VR headset is that we just had a plain VR headset. And then we thought about embellishing it with sort of reflective surfaces as well, to also turn the viewer into another character, you know, by like, in a sense, dressing them up. And also that surface is also not still because of all the projections around. That surface is also reflecting, multiplying, augmenting. So I think that's sort of the thread that goes along all of the elements of the piece, the idea of multiplying, augmenting, and expanding.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I feel like from the moment that Claudia zoomed into the tour and I could see that room, I was confused if I was already in the video that you guys created or if that was the space or what was going on. And especially the headset, the dressing up of the headset was very interesting because I find that it looked like a jewel in there as well. It's almost something you want to reach for and be part of. So I think it's an amazing touch. So congrats. Yeah, really, really beautiful work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Aline, for those questions. And Alexandra, you want to add something?
Yes. I really want to say thank you to you. Thank you so much, Claudia, for this invitation. Thanks, Tamara, for opening the space and being open to this kind of work that I know that is not easy to mount. It's very complex to mount an installation in Toronto, where is so much money and technology, but it's still difficult to be able to install a projector in the city. So really, thank you so much. And thanks, Claudia. Corredor is a very complex and large body of work that I've been presented in a different way. So live with live musicians in a large event. And then you invite me here and we start a great conversation of going part by part and how to transform the idea, the concept behind this large body work and translated it into the space. So thank you, because you really know Panama. You know the politics in the South. You know about technology. So it is a pleasure. So you are not scared of, when you're working with DIY technology, always fail. Always. That is the only thing that you know for sure. Santiago was laughing, there now. Yes. So you are open to that. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to work with you. And especially, I went to Panama, I went to Colombia, and then I called her and I said, hey, Claudia, I have a new element that I really want to explore. And she was open. So it was great, because I arrived here with 3 large pieces of paper, with no form, just with an idea in my mind. And you were open to play with it and try to find solutions and how to hang it. So thank you so much. It's great. It's great to have you both in Toronto space.
I just wanted to sum that and say how incredibly how incredible the space looks, and how different it I haven't gone in person yet, but even with these images, it's incredible how you've transformed the space with the work of all the artists. And I just wanted to congratulate you. I mean, I have already done so many times, but in front of everyone as witnesses. So thank you, Claudia.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm thrilled. And honestly, like, team effort, and I couldn't have done this with the support of all of you, and also you also believe in my idea. And I think that it's what Alexandra was saying, that yeah, I think the whole exhibition is about that, like technology, and how technology can fail us, and how it's still challenging for us, and how we are embedded in this whole new context. And I think it's wonderful that we're able to create exciting things and come up with, different ways of seeing and experiencing the world that we're living in. So I'm super grateful to be able to be to work with all of you, to have Tamara's and to have Sur Gallery support, and to have you all here today. I'm super, super, super thrilled. Like, thank you so much. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you to the artists. I just have a really anxious puppy here who wants to go outside and nobody to take her outside. But I did want to take this opportunity to also thank the artists, now that I have you in front of me and I haven't had that opportunity yet. It's been a pleasure to have you at the gallery. The work is amazing, and it's great to have you speak of the work. And I did want to mention the few events that we have programmed for the future while the exhibition is up. And I see that Maya has asked that same question, so I'll take this opportunity to let you know of the few programs that we have lined up. So there is our online opening reception via Zoom with a live performance by artists Luis Navarro and Jessica Rodriguez. That's coming up Thursday, May 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. and you're all welcome to join us. We also have some video interviews with Eva Salinas, who I believe I saw her join us this evening.
Oh yeah, hi Eva.
Hi. Hi
everyone.
Hi. So she's kindly agreed to interview all of our artists, and this is a special program that we have lined up in partnership with May Works Festival, and they will be launched at different times. So Alexandra Gelis' interview will be launched on May 3rd to 9th. Ana Maria Miyan from May 10th to 16th, and Santiago Tavera and Laura Costa from May 17th to 23rd. And they'll be available both in our virtual site, the Sur Gallery virtual.ca platform that we mentioned at the beginning, and at May Works Festival website. And I'll also take this opportunity to mention a couple of other programs that we have lined up. There's a studio critique, an online studio critique that we'll be launching with Gerardo Mosquera. We've invited international renowned curators to review the work of local artists. In this case, Paolo Almario and Omar Estrada will be showing and presenting their work to Mosquera, and he'll be giving them feedback, and it will be an excellent networking opportunity for these artists. And that will be April 29th, and you're all welcome to join us at 6 p.m. And finally, the Latin American Speaker Series. We're launching again our series this year with Silvia Rivera Cusicanqui, who is a subalternist theorist, and she'll be joining us May 27th at 6 p.m. So you're all welcome to see that as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So that's it, I think, for now. And we'll be in touch very soon. Stay tuned and take care. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Gracias. Bye.
Chao, gracias.